Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is, what is today? Thursday, January 6th. A little flustered by this price action, but we'll break it all down for you guys here today. Obviously, Bitcoin experiencing some sell pressure as well as ETH after yesterday's Fed meeting. They turned out to be a little bit hawkish as traders were expecting, and Bitcoin seems to be pulling back along with many other tech stocks. But we'll talk about that and a lot more. But before we do, CJ, how are you doing today, my friend?
Could be better, quite frankly. I think we're going to have to start reinventing new metrics for the fear and greed index if it goes negative here. But yeah, I mean, things are very negative. I mean, quite frankly, traditional markets are taking another blow today, already down about 0.3 to 0.5% in all major indices across the board, testing some critical levels. So, you would expect a relief rally after such a strong sell-off, but just nobody wants to buy in yet. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, CJ. Definitely could be better, but we're at that critical 42.5K level right now. So I think that we'll find out a lot about the kind of interim price action here at this current level. Will we bounce from this level? Will we continue breaking down? We'll talk about that. But I want to start with this piece of news from CoinDesk, and the headline I think sums it up pretty much all you need to know about it. But I want to just kind of offer perhaps a little bit of perspective, or maybe just kind of offer my rationale as to why Bitcoin is seeing such heavy sell pressure after that Fed meeting. And the headline of this article is Bitcoin falls to 1 month low as Fed minutes reveal talks to shrink balance sheet. And like we just said, Bitcoin came down very quickly to retest that 42.5K critical level. One thing that I want to just quickly mention is that, one thing that CJ and I have talked a lot about is the fact that there has not been much retail participation in Bitcoin. Much of the participation has been from institutions or funds that have been, setting up their avenues to exposure at the later half of 2021 and are now, entering into the crypto space. And one thing that is worth noting is that tech stocks have been hit hard as, this Fed meeting was looming last week. We saw tech stocks start to sell off. And then obviously yesterday, as the Fed turned out to be hawkish, we saw tech stocks continue that sell-off. And ultimately, I think that tells you everything you need to know about the way these institutional traders perceive Bitcoin, the way these funds perceive Bitcoin. They're still treating it like a high growth tech stock, and not necessarily trading it under its store of value use case or anything like that. So I think that is the main reason why we're experiencing such sell pressure, is because the participants in the market currently are those that are used to trading tech stocks, are institutions, funds from traditional equities side. So to see that sort of profit taking following that sort of meeting from the Fed isn't really all that surprising. Although I have to say, it is concerning that we're at this 42.5K level. This is a highly, highly critical level. It has been throughout the year, and we're just struggling to bounce. But what are your thoughts on the current price action on yesterday's meeting? What are you thinking, CJ?
I think you just got to be patient, even if that means taking some off just to limit risk. And, if you get lower prices, then you can be patient as well and, see if things can start of turn around in terms of momentum, and fear around increasing interest rates kind of subsides. But until that occurs, you just got to be patient, I think. And I think that's what we're seeing. There's not a lot of buyers who really want to step up at these levels yet. And so, but that's not necessarily a bad thing either, because if you can be patient for, the next year or so, or just follow the market very closely, but not necessarily pull the trigger, a lot of these valued projects may come down and present lower prices to buy. But, it is another every time we test these critical levels, like, it's a very strong fork in the road of, like, will the trend continue, or is this it?
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just quickly pull up a Bitcoin chart here. I want to talk about why this level is so critical and just show how in the past this really has been, such an important level for Bitcoin's price action. And let's just take a look at from the macro perspective here on the daily chart. We are coming back down hard after yesterday's news, like we said. And what's worth noting is that, we have seen this level act as both support and resistance on several different occasions. AJ Monty, another one of our technical analysts, always talks about how role reversals are very important when it comes to TA. And for that reason, and because of the, amount of buy limit orders we saw stacked up at this level on exchanges like Bitfinex, 42.5 has been given merit as a highly, highly critical level. So, as you can see back here, when we started our rally, we got this short squeeze out of the bear market. This level actually acted as initial resistance and, really kind of was a head fake. We came back down before ultimately breaking higher. Again, on this massive liquidation event, we saw supply absorption at this critical level. You can attribute that to Bitfinex limit orders or just whales stepping in, confident that that critical 42.5 level was going to hold up. Ultimately, it didn't, but we did see strong accumulation around that level that led to us ultimately, climbing back up to the high 60K range. Now, you can go all the way back to the beginning of 2021 and see that this level was also critical back then, all the way back almost, or look at that, that's almost exactly a year ago now. We were at almost this exact same level and we saw heavy, heavy resistance. This was a similar scenario. I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but at this point in time, it was largely institutions and funds, whales driving the market at this point. It wasn't necessarily retail participation. That came around here, in those early summer months of 2021. This still was largely, institutions accumulating. We had news of like MicroStrategy putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Things like that were what was driving the market at this point. And ultimately, we saw some strong resistance at 42.5, some profit taking before we were able to climb higher and break to new highs. So the fact that this level is now being retested, I think merits, everyone's attention. This has been a highly critical level. I expect it to be a highly critical level now. But what I will say is that if this level does not hold up, the next level I'm watching will be the level that we retested back in September when we did break below that level after similar instances of price action. We had this supply absorption at 42K, kind of like we did back here. Then we retested on a clear breakdown and ultimately came all the way down to retest 40K. This was a scary level because below this, there isn't all that much support until down at, the 30K level. So this is another level to watch, but ultimately I do still think that there's a chance that we could bounce here at 42.5. It seems like there are some buyers willing to step in, even if they are just limit orders being triggered. I still think there is a potential for a bounce at this level. If not, this is the next level I'll be watching. But ultimately, this is a very critical day. There's been many instances of 42.5 acting as that line in the sand, and it could potentially do that again today. So we'll be keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, I think the key is just to be flexible, right? Like, do you have a plan if Bitcoin goes to 30? But also at the same time, like, people have this pattern of like just feeling that whatever has been happening will just continue to happen in markets repeatedly. So, and just try to be flexible and I guess adaptive to change in that regard. Because if we do start rallying, then things could change quite quickly. But at the same time, the traditional markets are just bringing a lot of pressure right now. So that's going to have to change before crypto can rally, I think. But onto an article that you shared with me this morning, Monty, specifically about Bank of America upgrading Coinbase. Do you want to cover this one?
No, go ahead. I have a few comments to say, but go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, they're looking at Coinbase as a buy, moreover, because the revenue goes beyond just crypto retail trading. Partially, I think this is because one of the very bold claims that Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, has made is that once they get their newly launched NFT marketplace like fully going, it could actually surpass the volume of their actual trading platform. So you think of the implications that this could have on artists and photographers and how people generate their work, it could turn into something like a Getty Images 2.0 for Coinbase that ultimately leads to alternative revenue sources aside from just crypto speculation. So that's quite interesting. But Monty, do you want to
Yeah,
add to that?
yeah, that's obviously the NFT marketplace has a big influence on that as well. But one other thing, CJ, so far we've really kind of valued Coinbase or attempted to value Coinbase based on the number of users that have downloaded the app, that sort of thing. But ultimately, I do think that Coinbase is starting to make a shift in terms of their kind of target audience. Initially they were the go-to for retail traders. In 2017, if you were buying Bitcoin, there was pretty much nowhere else to do it in the United States besides Coinbase as a retail trader. But now I think Coinbase is also starting to venture into institutional offerings, which is very important. CJ and I are analysts for a fund, and we have recently been working to get institutional access to Coinbase because they do offer many assets that you can't get exposure to on other institutional facing exchanges. So not only do they have a strong retail brokerage that I think will remain popular for the remainder of or at least the near future. It has become synonymous with crypto at this point. I think that if they can continue to bolster out those institutional offerings and continue to onboard clients that are making institutional purchases, that could be a huge new stream of revenue that could ultimately dwarf those user metrics that typically we look to kind of determine their company's value. So interesting stuff there, but I think that's about all we got for today. Anything else you want to add before we close it up, CJ?
It's just testing the lows. It's hitting that 225 level once again. That stock being coin, so maybe just one to keep an eye on here. But if things remain negative, I would expect the same in Coinbase as well. Overall, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day out there in the world, wherever you are. But Monty, I'll leave the outro to you, my friend.
Thank you. Yep. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. As always, we'll be doing our members only Doge of the day straight after this. But yeah, have a great rest of your day. We'll be watching that 42.5 level carefully. If you guys want to come hang out in the community with CJ and I, you can do so at the link below me for just $7 for the first week. We have a pro charting service, a 24/7 chat with a community of traders from all around the world, an extensive education curriculum so you can educate yourself during this bear market, and a whole lot more. So definitely head over there and check that out. But that's all we got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.